Awesome, awesome. Okay, let me just really get comfortable. All right. So, okay, just let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Okay. It's coming through now. Yep, we can see it.
All right. So, once again, thank you so much, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know it's a chilly Monday, but thank you so much for actually joining us. You guys could have been doing anything else, but you actually are joining us for the session. So, welcome once again. And I'm going to be actually sharing a couple of very interesting facts, and I'll be actually teaching you guys how to actually build a full Django website. So, if you guys are not really familiar about what web development is, what Python is, and what Django is, so I'm going to be actually out here, talking to you guys and actually helping and actually, mentoring and showing you guys how to actually build your first Django application. So if you guys are really confused about what I'm saying, don't worry, guys. I'm definitely going to be here with you guys. I'm going to be helping you throughout the whole way. All right. So let's get started, right? So today's agenda is basically we're just going to be covering the pure basics of what everything is so that we can actually have a basic understanding of what we're going to be tackling throughout the whole week. So I'll be here today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then by the end of Thursday, you guys will hopefully have a very good understanding and a good grasp of what Django specifically is all about, right? So I'm going to be diving deep and throughout the weeks. So for today, just make sure you guys have your pens and your pads out, because there's a lot of learning that you guys are going to be exposed to if you're a first time beginner. So this is very beginner friendly. So if it's the first time, you entering the web development space, trust and believe that I will definitely make sure that you will understand the pure basics and really understand the concept behind it all. So for today, we're just going to be covering a lot of the theory, and then later on, I'll be then obviously helping you guys how to actually acquire everything that you guys will need for the rest of the week. All right. So as I said, just make sure that you guys do pay attention, and I hope you actually enjoy the session. So moving forward, how the presentations or how the sessions will work is that the first part will definitely be a presentation. So meaning we're covering the theory and the logic behind it, and then the second session will actually be the practical session. All right. So as I said, the agenda for today is we're going to be okay. We've done the welcomings. You will obviously have introduced myself, and then I'm gonna quickly talk about what is web development. I'll be quickly talking about what is Python and what is Django. Then I'll be also talking about what is Microsoft Azure, which is web hosting, as well as GitHub and Git. And then the practical session for today is I'll be just basically showing you and helping you guys actually set up everything that you guys are going to need for the week, right? So all the software we need, how to sign up for things, and all sorts of things. And then eventually I'll be helping you guys how to set up Git and GitHub as well. So for those of you who actually don't know me, I go by the name of Koketsu Motsotata. I've been in web development for about 4 years now. I've been freelancing as a web developer, and these are just some of the brands that I've actually been ambassadors for. So Microsoft Learn Ambassador, Binance, IBM, AWS, as well as Google. I'm also an iSet Buddy, so I've also done a couple of these kind of talks as well. But other than that, I'm a Pythonista by heart, so I'm always coding in Python, and React and so forth. But these are also my content details. If you guys need help, if you guys have got any questions, I'm more than willing to help you. I also have a tech blog that I actually just started. So I actually write a couple of articles on topics such as Python and Django as well. So this is not about me. This is definitely not about me. This is all about you. So let's dive into it and say, what is exactly web development? So if you've heard the term of web development basically is the work that involves developing websites. All right. So think about every single website that you've ever been onto. So if you go on Google, if you go on whatever www whatever website, that is basically considered as a website. And what basically a website does is that you can actually have a plethora of different kinds of websites, right? You can have a simple landing page where a company can advertise its content. You can even have a personal profile about yourself or your business, and it actually displays the content. So the reason why web development is such a big booming industry is that the fact that, as you can see, that nowadays, especially from 2020, it has actually projected to see that there has been a significant growth in the amount of web development and the need of web developers, especially after 2020, due to the fact of the pandemic, right? So the pandemic actually forced a lot of companies to actually migrate and move towards the net, right? So the net meaning you actually have to have a social presence or an online presence in that sense. So if you're running a business, it's quite important for you to actually have a website, right? But now you're probably thinking to yourself, for every website out there, there has to be a web developer. And that's where we come in terms of web development as a whole. So web development can obviously comprises of e-commerce websites as well. We can have web applications, so things like even social media, so things like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp. So those also need some sort of a web development or web development team to actually back it up all in all. All right. So let me just give you a quick crash course about what is web development 101. So you are definitely going to need three components when it comes to web development, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and Cascade Style Sheet. So those two basically are like is like a wife and a husband. They will always go together when it comes to web development. You can never have one without the other. And basically JavaScript is like the cherry on top. So basically JavaScript is actually, it helps you to make more dynamic websites, right? So it helps with interaction. So think about in terms of if you want to input your data or you want to extract your data. But as I said, this is just a quick overview, and I will be diving deeper within the days in terms of really talking about the essentials of what HTML actually does. So, just as a quick summary, HTML basically is just like the skeleton of how your website is. It's just placing elements in the correct positions. CSS, however, actually helps you with the styling. So that's why the word style sheet. It helps you with reshaping things, making things more beautiful, adding color, and just making your website just look a bit more professional. And then JavaScript, on top of that, actually adds things like animation, transitions, and more functionality. And then after you've learned that, you would want to actually go further into your web development career and actually learn a framework. So you'll hear a term called a framework or a front end framework, which is really comprised of two of the best. Well, I personally, and actually globally, it's actually recognized that you learn React because React actually was created by Facebook and but developers by Facebook. And actually React actually, I will actually speak about React within the weeks, but it's actually considered as one of the most in demand front end frameworks, right? So right after you've learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you then want to learn React. I personally do prefer React because even the learning curve is quite similar to JavaScript, opposed to Angular. So Angular is more of a framework where it has a bit of a steeper learning curve, but um, it kind of does restrict you with a few things. But Angular was actually developed by Google, so it is still quite a framework that's used internationally. And then you have something called database. Database basically is just helps you to collect structured data, right? So, but nowadays, obviously, we hear a term called big data, where we see different kinds of databases. So you have relational databases and non-relational databases. So that's another conversation that I said I will definitely touch on within the coming days. So now let's talk about what is Python, right? So I think by now, if you're not really familiar about what Python is, Python basically is just a high level, an object oriented programming, right? So if you're not really quite sure about the terms, like the word object oriented programming, I suggest just do some research on your own. But this is basically one of the most easiest programming languages that you can find out there. The syntax is quite easy. So syntax meaning it's quite readable, it's quite easy to understand. It's not really complicated, it's straightforward. when they say it's high level meaning that it is actually interpreted by us as humans, because we know that machines can only interpret information in binary, which is ones and zeros, right? And Python is it has a very huge community. There's a lot of Python developers out there. The job market as well is also hungry for Python developers, and so forth. But you can do so much with Python, especially with the fact that there's things like data, there's things like cloud, artificial intelligence, and so forth. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. And also within the weeks, I'll also just tell you the kind of industries and kind of job markets that you can actually get into Python. But let's talk about a bit of history of Python, right? So basically, Python was developed by a developer called I struggle to say this guy's name, but his name is really there. I really don't want to like butcher his name and everything. But essentially, um, Python basically was started obviously in the 90s, as you can see, and it was just developed throughout the years. And Python actually it was actually first called ABC, but obviously with the developments throughout all, it actually got its name Python, right? So just a quick schema of the kind of careers that you can actually find yourself in Python is you can just become, a plethora of things. You can become a software engineer. We can talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence. We can go into robotics, web development, data science, and data analytics. And there's still many, many more things like game development. You can become a tutor and a mentor. So the list is really, really endless when it comes to adapting the power and the capabilities of what Python is. So now let's really talk about Django, right? What is Django? So Django basically it is also a high-level language, but it is a Python web framework, right? So maybe you might be confused about the word framework. So basically, a framework it's like a container that actually helps you to actually develop web applications, right? So you might maybe hear something like the Angular framework or the Python framework, and a framework also actually helps you to do something called back end as well as front end development, which is something I'll also just touch on within the day, right? But what you just need to understand that Python is also open source, so meaning it's free, it has a huge community, and also it is maintained by the Django Software Foundation. So basically, those are the people that actually they're responsible for the rights as well as the publishing. So if you have an application that you want to actually take it to production, um, the Django Software Foundation actually handles all of that, and you don't really have to worry about that. As I did mention that Django is open source, it is free, it has a huge community, it's also easy to learn, and it's quite fast and it's reliable. So now one of the key reasons why Django is actually quite popular nowadays is because it's got very high security features, right? So it's not easy for someone to actually hack into your website, especially when you are dealing with data, right? And we know that data nowadays is quite a sensitive topic to a lot of people, that you don't want your information to be accessed or be placed in the wrong hands. And throughout the weeks, I'll also be telling you and showing you the companies that actually use Django. Now, Django actually predominantly is considered as a back end technology. And I will also just tell you more about it in terms of what the difference between a back end and a front end. But a lot of people also interchange Django as a backend slash a full stack, right? So you definitely understand these terms as I do talk to you guys about it within the coming weeks. All right. So just once again, knowing a bit about Django is that Django obviously comprises of Python, and it was developed by just two developers, which is Simon and Adrian. They were also actually predominantly developers themselves, and the fun fact is that Django actually was named after a very famous jazz guitarist, right? I'm guessing they were really, really loving this guitarist called Django, and it's been around for since 2005. So as you can see, it's been here for quite some time, and it's only getting popular and popular. As you can, if you actually do your research and actually track back in terms of the history of most of these programming languages, they were actually mostly in the 90s, and then it kind of collected their fame in the in the 2000s, and only now it's starting to have its actual boom within the mid 2000s, right? So especially the fact that now everyone is migrating into the cloud space. So now what is Microsoft Azure, right? So the reason why I want to tell you guys everything that we're going to be learning throughout the week is because Microsoft Azure is one of the technologies we are going to be using to actually host our website online, right? So you're obviously going to be building this website, and you probably want to just obviously show it off to your friends, your colleagues, or for a school project, or you're trying to land your a developer job, right? So Microsoft Azure, as you all know, is one of the most leading cloud computing services out there, right? So we know of Microsoft actually has services, but now Microsoft has now migrated into the cloud. So I'll be also touching a bit about what cloud technology and what cloud computing is all about, so that you actually understand how all of these technologies actually work. And it's quite important for you to actually know these kind of technologies, especially if you're going to be going into the digital world, because nowadays companies are looking for someone that's not a one-trick pony, So, I mean, so if you know web development, they actually kind of want to make sure that you are cloud ready. I'll even talk to you guys about some certifications that Microsoft actually do offer, and some certifications I took personally, right? So from introduction and all the way up to expert level. So throughout the weeks, I'll be just talking to you guys in terms of how to really acquire your certifications. So moving right along is that Microsoft actually has a service called web hosting, right? So Microsoft Azure web hosting. So Azure as a whole provides a lot of web services. So things like databases, things like machine learning, things like cognitive services, and so forth. But Azure provides web hosting. So what does web hosting mean? It just really means that you can actually publish, or yes, as we say, we host or you publish your website online, right? So it's actually quite free, and I'll actually show you guys how to actually sign up and get yourself one of these. But as I said, throughout the whole week, there's going to be a lot of learning. There's going to be all of these things that I'm actually going to be showing you guys, right? Then, lastly, I'm going to be talking about GitHub and Git. What is GitHub and Git, right? Now, a lot of people really kind of confuse the term of GitHub and Git, right? So now let's first look at Git. So basically, Git is a software for tracking changes in any set of your files. So now this is what we call version control, and it's something that's quite important for you as well as a developer to know, especially when you're working with other people, right? So if you're collaborating with other developers or you're working within a certain organization, Git actually is basically a type of software that tracks your progress within your development phase. So you will see that as time goes, we're gonna be pushing our code all the way to GitHub. So what GitHub actually is, it's just basically a repository, right? So just think about it like it's a safe in the cloud where you actually save your files, right? So Git actually helps you to push all of your files from your local, so meaning on your laptop or on your PC, and it helps you to ship and to push and to save your files onto the cloud, right? So we're going to be talking about cloud computing in a couple of days, and obviously I'll talk about the benefits and why it's so important for you to actually be aware about everything cloud computing. All right. So now you're probably asking yourself, okay, like there's so much that you've learned. You learned about what web development is. You've learned about what Python is. We've learned about what Django is all about. We've even looked at where we're going to be hosting our website, which is Microsoft Azure web hosting, and then we're also going to be looking at where to save our files, right? So it's, as you can see, it's quite a lot of technologies that we're going to be needing and we're going to be using. All right. So basically, the next couple of steps in this part, I'm going to be actually showing you and helping you guys actually getting these softwares up and running onto your local system. Most of them are quite small in size, so you don't have to worry about having external memory or too much memory and so forth. And please, please, please take note that it's best if you work on a laptop or a PC. I highly do not recommend using a phone or a tablet, right? Reason being is that the tablets and phones kind of have different settings, and it does kind of make your coding experience a bit more difficult rather than having your PC as well as having your laptop up. So please, moving forward, just make sure that you actually download these softwares on a PC or on a laptop, right? So let's just look at the kind of technologies we're going to be using. Right, we're going to be using Python and we're going to be using Node.js. So reason why I really didn't speak much about Node.js is that Node.js is basically essentially a layer or a helper that's going to help us actually communicate between Django, Python, and all of the other technologies such as Microsoft Azure and GitHub. So what Node is like, think of it as a and a helper, but it's all in the back end, right? So you won't really see much of it doing anything because it's going to be running actually at the back of your system. So when I mean at the back, meaning like you won't actually see it running, but as soon as we start punching in commands and so forth, Node is the one that actually will be helping us to actually communicate and actually try to do things. All right. Then we're going to be so I'll be using VS Code. So this is what we call a code editor, right? So a code editor means this is where we're actually going to be doing our physical code, right? So this is where we're going to be building our physical website. Okay, and then obviously we're going to be signing up and registering on Microsoft Azure, right? So Microsoft actually did a really cool thing is that if you're actually a student, there's actually a free. So actually, Microsoft actually has a free tier, but if you're a student, you actually get credited. I think it is $100 if I'm not mistaken. So you get like $100 so that you can use any other services. You know, so you can use databases, you can use containers and so forth. Whatever you obviously please, but for us, we are just really concerned about the hosting services. And then last but not least, we're going to be downloading. So Git is a software you download, and then GitHub is obviously web based. So Python, Node, Visual Studio, Git are all softwares we have to download, and then Microsoft Azure and GitHub is services we will have to sign up for. So what I'm then gonna do is I'm going to share the links into the chat for you guys to actually download. So the reason why I really want you guys to actually try to download all of these things now, so that I can actually help you guys in terms of if you are battling with anything, if you've got any errors. As I said, most of these actually are going to take quite quickly to download. So all right, so let me just quickly finish off. And yeah, so thank you very much. So that's obviously the end of the presentation session. So moving forward, as I said, I'm going to be helping you guys and sharing the links onto the chats in terms of you guys making sure that you acquire that. Reason being, it's quite important for if you guys are having any issues and so forth now, so that I can help you, so that by the time tomorrow comes we can already start jumping into the coding, right? So tomorrow we're going to be very, very much hands-on in terms of the coding. And guys, if it's the first time you guys are coding, please, please do not panic. I know a lot of people are scared, are intimidated by code and so forth, but I mean, that's why we are all here, right? So I'm here to help you and you're here to learn. So please, please make sure that if you've got any issues, just do let me know and so forth, and I'll try my best to actually help you out. Right. So without further ado, what I'll then just do is let me just grab these links and I will share these onto the chat. Um,
Are you open to take questions, Kaketso?
Oh yes, sure. If there's any questions, sorry, so sorry. I'm just trying to get these links out to you guys. All right. So yes, guys, if you've got any questions now, I don't know if the mics are able to unmute, but I'm just gonna
Okay,
pop
everybody can unmute. Yes.
yeah. So I'm just gonna pop all the links that you guys are gonna need into the chat, and then I'm also gonna do a quick run over in terms of how these sites are and where to go. So yeah, I can take questions while I do all of this.
And we'll also make this recording available as well. I'll let you know
Yes.
by the end of the week where we're going to put the link. All right.
Okay, guys. So the first link that I shared inside there, it's the Python one. Then the second one it's Node.js. The third one is VS Code, and then the fourth one it's gonna be Microsoft Azure. So with Microsoft Azure, just bear in mind if you are a student, you can use your university email address and you will be credited $100 for free. But if you're not, you can obviously sign up with your own email address. However, you will need I think it is a credit card, but they will not debit anything for your usage. And the nice thing is that obviously we're going to be using the free tier, so meaning that the free service, and I think it's going to be valid for a full year. So this link that you're going to be posting your website on, it's actually going to be valid for a full year. So don't worry about getting charges. Microsoft will actually send you an email in terms of to remind you that your full year is almost lapsed, and do you want to renew it or whatnot. But with the free tier, you don't have to worry about anything because with the web hosting services, it's actually Microsoft is actually giving it to us for free. So you don't have to worry about that. The only reason why they'd actually need your banking details is just to verify that you are actually a human being and there won't be any fraud detections and there won't be and so if you are a threat to them, at least they have your details to actually capture you in that sense. So I mean, we good web developers, so we're not going to be doing things like that, right? So that's the Microsoft one. And then the second last one, it's Git. And then the last one, maybe GitHub, right? So you guys can see there is quite a lot. So I'm just going to share my screen once again just to show you how these um, websites look like. Just
Are you going to share your screen?
yes. I'm just opening all the links all at
Okay.
once.
Cool.
Okay, right. Okay, mine might just take a while to open all these tabs because I use quite a lot of tabs for research. All right, so let's just wait and see. Is my screen okay?
Yeah, there it's coming. It's coming. There we go. Wow.
All right, so awesome. So this is the first link that I sent. So this is the Python website, all right? Guys, so the latest version is 3.10. I think mine is 3.9, but it's fine as long as you've got anything that's above 3.5. And obviously, this supports all types of systems. So if you are on Windows, if you're using a Mac, um, yeah, completely fine. And the nice thing about this Python website is that obviously it actually gives you documentation. And it also has a community as well. There's also events Oh yeah. So the one of the fun fact, one of the recent Python events was PyCon 2022, where they actually announced that there's going to be a new framework called PyScript. And what PyScript is actually going to be able, it's going to do is that you will be able to actually write Python code in the browser, right? So that's pretty cool. Really looking forward to to that. Yeah. So according to the Python Foundation, that PyScript is officially going to be out, which actually and then essentially means that I don't think we're going to be necessarily needing to be downloading Python within the next couple of years, probably, because now we'll be able to physically code Python within our browser, which is pretty cool. The next one I'm going to be looking at is right. So this is how Node.js actually looks like. You can also just choose your operating system and just download that. So the reason why I'm not downloading all of these is because I already have them. So it's yeah, I don't really need to download them again. Okay, as well as VS Code. If you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux, you can just download all this. So, and guys, also just remember this. It doesn't really matter if you're using Windows 7, Windows 8, 10, 11, and so forth. That's completely fine. All of these software, and guys, it's also free, right? I just need to make sure that it's also free. Git, as well. Remember, I spoke about version control, so you're definitely gonna need that. And then you're gonna obviously need to sign up to GitHub. I've already got an account. You just so with GitHub, you just need a Gmail or an Outlook account. You just sign up. I think I've already signed in. Okay, so yeah, so this is my GitHub account. I definitely use GitHub quite a lot because just to save my code. Sometimes it's not really a recommended idea to actually always keep your code onto your system, because we know nowadays that your system crashes or someone you get robbed or whatever. Now all of your information is on your laptop, and you basically now don't have any of your work. So it's actually quite advisable to push your code repositories on the on online, right? So this is Azure once again, and I said oh, okay, I think they changed the okay, yeah. So this one is just Azure for students, but as I said, if you don't have one, so I think you actually do get $100 whether you okay. So no credit card required. Okay, so I guess they did change a few things since the last time I used it. And if you could just browse on the site, so these are the kind of services they give you. So you can have some AI stuff. We spoke about big data as well, databases. There we go. You have virtual machines, and all right. So we're gonna be using obviously Azure App Services. This is gonna help us to host our stuff. But if you're really interested in actually getting some certifications, I'll also be talking about that. And I don't know if I should tell you guys this now, but okay, I will be also giving away 2 or 3 vouchers to 3 of our participants at the end of our session. So just as a free exam voucher that you can actually write your AZ900 exam, which I'll also talk to you about. So guys, yeah, do make sure that you tune in. You could be really, really one of those lucky 3 people that actually can win a voucher for you to take these exams. So what these certifications actually just prove is that it just tells companies that you are um, well aware or well knowledgeable about Microsoft Azure. Obviously, it is fundamental uh, exams, so you will obviously have to just study on your own, whatever. But I will obviously give away like 3 Microsoft exam vouchers. All right. So, guys, I hope that you guys are downloading all of these softwares. I think for the next 10 minutes or so, I can be able to take your questions. I'm able to help you guys with whatever you guys are facing with. If there's any troubles, please do make sure that you yeah, just voice out. And if there's any questions in terms of the whole presentation as a whole, if you've got any questions when it comes to web development, any questions when it comes to Python, Django, Microsoft, or anything I've actually spoken in between, yeah, you guys can definitely shoot away while you guys are obviously making sure that your systems and everything that you need is up and running.
Koketso, maybe I can just confirm everybody needs to be installed with all these different sites for tomorrow's session.
Yes, yes, yes. It's definitely gonna help us, especially if you can get Python installed, if you have Node installed, and you have VS Code installed. Those ones are quite critical because yeah, that's what we're gonna be using tomorrow because you won't be able to access Django without Python, right? So yeah.
Cool.
All right, guys. So if there's any questions, if there's any help, okay. I'm also just gonna drop just my contact details, my social details. If also you feel like you don't want to do this now, but you have any questions. So this is my Twitter, this is my Instagram, and then that's my personal email. And then obviously you can also check out some of the projects I've also built with Django. So you guys can also check out my site as well. I do also do some tech blogs as well in terms of um, writing about Django as well. So guys, if there's any questions or if you're battling with anything, please make sure you do capitalize and take this opportunity to ask any questions or if you're not sure about anything.
I think everybody's overwhelmed, Koketso. Nobody's saying anything.
Or maybe I just explained everything so well.
Ah, there we go. That's the way of looking at it.
All right.
Anybody got any questions for Koketso whilst we have him here with us in our
Yeah.
midst? Or maybe everybody's distracted. They need to go and download all these links.
All right. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, as long as they've got them downloaded, and then tomorrow we'll just do a quick recap session in terms of how to just make sure everything is okay. So as long as you guys have got the software downloaded, I know with GitHub it might take a bit of a process as well as Azure because you have to sign up. So they'll have to send you links to your emails and so forth and verify and stuff. So as I'm saying, those two right now are not really that important. You can do that on your own time, but I know with the download stuff that's going to be very important because as from tomorrow we definitely going to need those. All right.
Then you'll also have to think of what is the topic of your website.
Oh yes. That's also another. I mean, you guys can also follow with the template that I have, but the only difference is that the only thing that's going to be different from the one that I'm going to build versus the one that you want to build is just the topic. But the structure, the layout is definitely going to be the same. You guys will even, if you want to be creative, you can use your own colors and everything. But the way I'm going to be teaching you guys is definitely going to be helpful, so you will understand in terms of if I want to change fonts, if I want to change sizes and so forth. But as I said, we've got a whole week to actually learn all of this incredible stuff. And yeah, guys. Should we use the same link for tomorrow? Yes. According to my knowledge, we're going to be
Same
using
time,
the
same
same.
place. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, guys. And guys, if you found this very informative, please make sure that you do invite um your friends, invite whoever you think might really benefit from this kind of skill. As I said, web development is only going to grow and it's only going to grow and take you places. So if you really do take it seriously, there's quite a lot you can learn just from this week. And I'll even share some of my resources that I usually go to in terms of learning Django and so forth. So, yeah, guys.
All right. I think Ketso, you've also touched on an important thing that if you can learn, I might as well with my camera on, but you can learn Python, you can learn the basics, you can learn the theory, but
Yeah.
you do need to know how to use it. And so this is an opportunity to really enrich your learning. I was
Mhm.
really hoping that INF 1511 and INF 2611 students would kind of fill your auditorium, and I'll have to send them more reminders. Um,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think they definitely going to learn a lot because I mean, in Django we use things like functions, so we use things like variables. So it's going to be quite helpful for them to actually see how the things actually they're learning from INF 15 11 and 2611, how not only, they don't have to really just focus on, oh, this is the only thing I can do with Python. They can actually see that we can do web development. So hopefully by tomorrow, we'll they'll actually get a wake up call.
I'll send them reminders again. Okay.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so I'm guessing obviously there's no more questions. It seems like everyone is really clear and is a okay. I mean, I did try to go as slow as possible. I tried to be as clear as possible. Yeah, guys. So I think from my side, thank you so much once again for joining us today. So as I said, tomorrow, guys, we definitely getting hands on with the coding stuff. And as I said, don't get scared by the word coding. Trust and believe. When by the end of the session, you're definitely going to be so proud of yourself because you would have thought that I could have never done this, but trust and believe. I'm going to be here. I mean, I've been hosting a lot of ISET sessions, so at the end of it all, everyone is like, "Oh yes, we
Oh, we
actually
can do
built
this.
the project." Yeah. So yeah, guys, I really hope that you guys are really excited. I hope you guys are motivated because it's going to be very informative week, and you guys are definitely going to be learning a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaketsa. Thank you so much. Hopefully,
Awesome.
they'll also, the participants will all come with their friends and
Yes,
their
yes, yes.
colleagues and lots of questions tomorrow because tomorrow we are really going to get moving. So you've got homework to do. Kind of get it installed quickly before load shedding catches you, and
Oh
then we'll see.
yes, load shedding. Oh yes, yes, yes.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. All
All
right.
right.
All right. Have an
Now,
awesome evening.
yeah, guys, I think we can.